episode number 55 today. And when I bought this kit from Cellar Dweller, 6 weeks ago about, Carrie says to me, I guess it was less than 6 weeks ago. Anyway, Carrie asked me, he says, how long do you think it's going to take you? And I said, probably a year. Well, it looks like I'm turning this into almost like a blog, a daily blog. And it's, at that rate, it would be a year, 365 days, 365 episodes? Well, maybe not. But anyway, what I plan to do is, I plan to break this up. And I'm going to be making a electronic clock. And I think a good time to start might be after episode 100. So, in about another 45 episodes, we'll be at episode 100. And I calculated that out to be the beginning of May. May the 2nd, actually. So I think that on episode 100, we'll stop the model, the Bismarck model, and I'm going to make a clock. Now the clock that I want to make is for the free draw that I have here for the members of this little private face group that I'm a member of here in Winnipeg, and I'll have it open on YouTube. You can watch the build. It'll probably last, I'm guessing, 5 to 10 episodes. It shouldn't be too hard, but you know they always go longer than I anticipate. So. Just to let you know what I'm planning on, and I've also found that things do not go as planned. In other words, I shouldn't carve my plans in stone because they generally change. But anyway, that's the way it looks right now. The beginning of May, at episode 100, we'll cut this off, and I'm going to make a little clock. And it's not going to be fancy, it's just going to be simple because it is for a giveaway. And just let you know what's happening here. Now, as long as we're talking about clocks here, one of the viewers mentioned that he's not hearing the clocks nearly as bad as he used to. Well, he didn't use the word bad. But anyway, he was wondering, am I timing my shots better? And I had to tell him, no, what I've done is I've turned 3 of the 4 off. I was finding it just too distracting. I'd just start to say something and all of a sudden the clock would start up, and then I knew that within about 15 seconds another one was going to go, and I just couldn't handle it. So the only one that you hear ringing occasionally, it has the very same movement as what I had in my hand. It is very realistic, even though it's a battery operated movement. Okay, enough about clocks here. If you remember yesterday we used this clear coat. I put some on here. Well, today I want to see, will this Panaline accent color work better now that it's got a sort of a glossy coat on there instead of that flat paint that we had put on before. Because my plan is to be able to use this stuff on this planking here, you know, to bring it out. And I just don't know. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to have to be spending 2 days, you know, scrubbing the paint out of this, which probably could be done, but I don't want to have to do it if I don't have to. Now, I realize there's no simulated planking on this deck anywhere, but there is, you know, some what you would call panel lines. These are raised panel lines instead of recessed. But it should work, I hope. And you can see around the chain here. There's a lot of detail that's raised there. Now I'm going to put the macro lens on. We'll get in nice and close. Well, here we go. Very lightly here. Let's see what's going to happen. Now I'm wondering, is it possible to wipe some of this excess off without taking it No, I'm smearing it. You know what? I have seen people actually use this like a wash, and they actually paint it over the entire area. Just for the fun of it, let's just try that. Maybe that's why they call it a wash. No, might have put too much on there. Let's let that dry and see what it looks like. Now, I could be mistaken here, but as I'm noticing this drying, maybe this is the way to go. Let's let it completely dry, and we can see where I put it and where I didn't. Now you can see right here where there's no wash, and here where there is wash. It almost looks better here where the whole thing was washed, because here it would be very difficult to get that panel line accent color away from out of the chain there, beside the chain. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just going to put it on a little bit thicker here. Well, let's use the hairdryer here and see what happens when it dries up. I think probably most of it dried. I think that where it looks really dark there, I think it's probably just sort of caked on it. I don't think it's wet anymore. I've got a cotton bud here, and it's just lightly moistened with isopropyl alcohol. Let's just carefully brush across the top of the chain. And maybe some of these other parts as well. So I don't want to take it off the deck, I just want to bring out the highlights if possible. Would that actually work? In other words, on the Bismarck's deck, where the planking is raised, the idea is I want this dark stuff to stay in the cracks. Try right here. If I look at the cotton bud, it doesn't appear that any of the black has come off because it's, you can't see it in the cotton there. There must be something better to use than these cotton buds. They kind of fray out like that. Anyway. Okay, you can see the comparison here. We'll zoom in right here. Now in a shot like this, you can see clearly that the planking is raised, and there's all those little grooves in between each little plank. But I'm just afraid that that panel line wash is going to cover everything equally. And I don't want to do too much experimenting on this deck. I'm sure there's hundreds of these kits being made that are not using the panel line wash. And there's a few that have simulated wood decking being put over top of this. But I'm not going to go to that work or to that expense. As I mentioned, I think in an earlier episode, it's just going to look like Mac tack. At least when I get through with it, it will. Now you will remember when we did this hull yesterday, we did this part here with the clear coat, and this part here I was hanging onto with my hand. I should have masked it off so that the dividing line was more definitive. I can sort of see where it is, but I know that here it's fully covered and here there's nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my fingernail and I'm just going to scratch with my fingernail here, and I'm going to scratch here and see which seems to be the easiest to scratch. So here we go. Okay. Okay, this was a little harder. Let's try it again with this fingernail. Yeah. Well, it still scratches, but you can, at least I could sort of feel when I was dragging my fingernail over the surface here, it did seem to be a little better protected, but not all that great. Let's just try something that has a bit of a, you know, a metal edge, you know, like a screwdriver. Oh, by the way, sorry, Tony. Well, something like a screwdriver, it's, yeah, that's kind of cheating. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do here with this hull, with this deck. I mean, I don't know whether I should even bother with the undercoat. I might just go ahead and spray it tomorrow with the deck color and, you know, get it over with and hope for the best. And I guess if worst comes to worst, I can always remove it all, but I don't think I'm going to have to. Oh, and the reason I'm not going to use the undercoating is because I'm afraid that it's going to just help fill in the little cracks, and then it's going to be less definitive where the detailing is. That's my thinking, and I might be thinking wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.